about something other than football. And here we are 5 years later.
Congratulations.
I've been beating you down for 5 years, and you come back every day.
And you're still delusional.
Still battling it out. I have no doubt we will continue this thing for a very, very long time. But unfortunately, Skip, you know, the NFL season hasn't even started, and already bad news.
Really?
Cowboys, the offense got some not good news ahead of their season opener against the Bucs on Thursday. Here's the latest. Six-time Pro Bowl guard Zach Martin will miss the game after being placed on the COVID reserve list yesterday, and the team recognizes it'll be a big loss. The Zeke Elliott saying, quote, "Zach's our best player on our offense. It's disappointing, but you can't harp on it. We still have a game to go play, and we got to try and get the job done." Meanwhile, Jerry Jones is embracing the challenge of going up against the Super Bowl champ, saying, quote, "What better opportunity to step up there and be David against Goliath?" Shannon, what is your reaction to all of this?
Skip, I don't want to get too much into what Zeke said. Zeke said what he said. I think Zach Martin's resume speaks for itself. Zach Martin and Marshall Yanda was the all-decade guards of the 2010s. So Zach Martin's resume is impeccable. So we don't need to question how good is he? Is he really that good?
I'd say one day he will have a bust near yours.
Yes, most of the guys on the all-decade team, at some point in time, they end up in Canton.
Yep.
Let's take Jerry Jones at what he said. There's no better opportunity to step up and be David versus Goliath. Hold on. This is the team that has the third best roster. They have one of the 2 or 3 best receiving corps, one of the top 5 offensive line. Mike McCarthy actually said on Hard Knocks, he's never seen a defense flip as fast as this one. And now they're David. The team, America's team, the team that had that's more valuable than any other team in sports.
In the world.
In the world, not just American sports, the world, all these football or soccer teams.
Yep.
The Cowboys are worth more. Every year, Stephen and Jerry Jones trot out there in front of a microphone and says, you know what? We have as much talent as those Super Bowl teams. I don't remember. It's just so very fortunate for me, Skip. I was in the league. You were covering them. 92, 93, 95. Did anybody ever say the Cowboys were David? The Cowboys was always Goliath. They went to the game expecting to win. Now Jerry, after he done ran his mouth all offseason to talk about how good it is, now he David. Nah, y'all gonna take this butt cutting. No, Jerry. I'm not gonna let you out of this one. Anything can happen on any given Sunday, but on this particular day, it happens to be a Thursday. Anything can happen, Skip. But I don't know why Jerry would sell his team short. You did all this talking. You got the championship pedigree. Hold on. How you gonna be David when you tell everybody the preseason is overrated? We don't need preseason. We so good, we don't even need that. Dak, I think it's overrated, Skip. That's what Jerry said.
He said that.
Now, all of a sudden, he David going against Goliath. Why would he do it? Why would your team do this? Say this, Skip Bayless. You ought to be embarrassed. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to call Jerry out, which I'm hoping you do, talking about the Dallas Cowboys is David.
Okay, my turn. For once, you have me proverbially over a barrel. You have my back up against the wall at this moment. But fortunately, the season hasn't yet started. But right here, right now, you got me. I am at your mercy. It's like our Lil Wayne sings, "No mercy." I'm asking for some mercy today. I will admit, when I glanced down at my computer and saw this headline, it was like the last thing in the world I expected to see. Of all the Cowboys, other than Dak Prescott, if you said, pick another one that you don't want to lose, I'd say, that guy. And so when I saw this, Ernestine happened to be walking by, my wife Ernestine, as I was at my computer, and my head just sort of hit the computer, and she said, "What happened?" I said, "Oh, you won't understand." She said, you act like you just lost Hazel, you know, our dog, like I just lost my dog. Well, it's not that bad, but Zach Martin, to me, is a big deal because the line appeared to be back. They actually started the third preseason game and played for like 2 plays, and they took him out. But they had Ty Smith and Zach Martin, Lyle Collins actually went out there together on the football field and got in their stances for like 3 plays and played football. And it was a sight for sore eyes. So when I saw this, it hit me the wrong way because sometimes a season just isn't meant to be, where it just gets off on the wrong foot, and then this happens, and that happens, and this happens, and that happens. Well, unfortunately, last year felt that way to me because I lost all those guys at certain points in the season, and then in Game 5, I lost my quarterback. And it was just this long, ugly struggle of still hanging in there in the NFC least, where you actually think, maybe we still, and it was just not meant to be, because I remind you, it went all the way down to Thanksgiving Day at Jerry World, and the rivals from Washington visited, and they had embarrassed us at Washington, as you recall, when Andy Dalton almost literally got his head knocked off.
Knocked your quarterback out.
Knocked him out. And in that game on Thanksgiving, we stopped them and forced them to punt. And I was like, yeah, here we go. And here we went. And Andy Dalton goes boom, 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 boom down the field. But Zach Martin had come back. And you could just see the line just blowing off the ball and creating just super highways. And I'm thinking, okay, we got this, because they sort of go as Zach goes, because he's a force. And they all know it, and they just feed off him. And as Zeke said in his quote, all the avenues that he follows, it's always behind that guy. It's behind that right guard. And remember what happened? It got all the way down to 3rd and 5 at the Washington 15, and Zach Martin got hurt again. He got hurt again. He pulled his calf muscle. And as you know, you pull a calf, if you really pull it, it's just, you can barely limp around. So he was done. That was the end of him for that season. And that was the beginning of the end of my Cowboys, because they had to take a field goal there. So it's 3-0 Dallas, and they kind of hung in. They actually hung in for 3 quarters. Then they get outscored 21-0 in the 4th quarter, and it ends up like 40-something to 10, and I can't even remember because it's too painful to remember. So my first thought, what I told Ernestine is this a sign that this is just not meant to be? Then yesterday, I just happened to glance at the point spreads for this coming week's, the opening slate of the NFL games. And I already knew that I was curious, is my spread going to change? Is Zach Martin big enough to change the spread? Not yet, because my team is still a 7.5-point underdog at the defending champs.
Which is tied for the most, right?
At GOAT. I don't know. I didn't really look all the way down, but it could be.
Close.
Well, it well could be. I'm surprised it hasn't crept up a little bit more. But the other spread that really caught my eye and shot me right in the heart was I saw the Chargers spread at the team you picked to win the least, the Washington football team, and the Chargers are favored in that game. Why does that apply to what I've been saying? Because I've been telling you, I don't even care about at Tampa Bay on Thursday night. I only care about I'm on to the Chargers, because they need to win that game to be 1-1, and then we'll be okay.
Well, they're going to be favored against you guys.
Well, that's what I said. That shocked me, because I respect Washington. I don't really respect their quarterback, but he has his moments. And I'm surprised, and I was laughing at you the other day for having picked Washington with Fitzmagic at quarterback, because you don't trust him. And you told me on a scale of 1 to 10, trust factor, you're at a 3. A 3, and you picked him to win the division? You must have 0 respect for my team, right?
Well, I just know that the Cowboys going to monkey it up at some point in time.
All right. So my point is, I always try to guess the spread. I reveal them after I guess. And I thought Washington would be a 3-point favorite at home, because their defense is just hellacious, especially that front 7. I can't argue. I got nothing on that, because they are really good. And their skill weapons are...
McLaurin and Samuel,
it is some
Logan
serious
Thomas,
business, and that little running back just destroyed us last year. So I'm thinking, and McKissick is really good too, so they got a 1-2 sort of thunder lightning. And I'm thinking, wait a second, the LA Chargers are favored by 1.5, and I'm saying we'll just go get the Chargers in week 2 and be okay? And now I'm saying, wait a second, are we going to be 0-2? Because history would scream at you, at 0-2, you cannot make the playoffs. Well, all you have to do is win the division to make the playoffs, and I still think my team will win the division fairly easily. But I don't know about this, and so now I'm already looking down the schedule to a Monday night game, which is Philly at Jerry World, as our first W. And then comes Carolina at home, our second W. And then come the Giants at home, our third W. So maybe I got to do it upside down. Maybe I got to go get to 3-2 after losing the first 2 games, because maybe I am underrating just how deep and talented the Chargers are with their golden-armed young quarterback.
Well, obviously, Skip, Zach Martin is a big deal considering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led the league in rush defense. And you talk about Vita Vea, you talk about Sue. So obviously, if Zach Martin is your best offensive lineman, he's out. Obviously, there's a great chance you guys are going to struggle running the football. The last thing that you want to do against Tampa Bay is what? Have them pin their ears back and come get you, a la what we saw in the Super Bowl when they knew you can't run the football. They knew you weren't going to run the football. So now Shaq Barrett, JPP, even Sue can just pin their ears back, come get your quarterback. That's what you don't want to have happen, Skip, but you're in that position. Again, in the regular season game, Lyle Collins, Zach Martin, and Tyron Smith haven't played together since December of 2019. Remember, Lyle Collins missed all of last year. He missed the last 2 weeks, Skip, with a stinger situation. So
They say he's okay, but go ahead.
right, and Tyron Smith